welcome to another edition of the One Team We Agree On. I'm Jillian.
And I'm Kyle. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty well. We had a winning weekend.
We did, and it's been a while since both Union and Union 2 have won on the same weekend. But hey, it happened. We had a eventful weekend, that's for sure. But we're gonna get into it on today's episode. Got a little bit of player news. We're gonna dive into you and I were at Union 2 and Union practice on Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're gonna dive in.
Thursday.
Oh, Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, all the days run together when I don't
Yeah,
have
they
school
do.
or coaching.
And then we have the game on Friday, obviously, and then we were at the Union 2 versus Chicago Fire 2 on Saturday. So a lot to discuss.
Yeah, was it me or did it really throw off just the week having the Union game on a Friday and Union 2 on Saturday? It just like made the days of the week seem weird to me.
It was just a lot going on this week, and then we had that game earlier in the week, so we were all over the place. Felt like we were at Chester every day.
Yeah, we were there like 3 days in a row.
So, but anyway, before we get started, what are we wearing today?
Well, I see we had similar ideas. This was not planned. The
Yeah.
two of us, but I am wearing the love in sign language tie-dye shirt that I did with Sons of Ben,
Mhm.
and so are you.
Yeah, so our tie-dyes turned out great.
Yes, they did.
And so we haven't worn them yet. So we decided to, I think we showed them
You
one.
wore, I thought you wore yours at
I
one point,
might have,
but I didn't wear mine yet, so
but either way, yeah, they turned out great. And
they did.
I was wearing it yesterday, so I thought I'd throw it on again today. So yeah, they look great. And so we had a lot of content online. So
Yes, we did. We've been
yeah,
busy.
we have been busy. So tell people where they can find us.
So you can find us on Twitter at TOTWAG, on Instagram and Facebook at The One Team We Agree On. We're on YouTube as well, The One Team We Agree On. We have our website, theoneteamweagreeon.com. And I have my TikTok, which I did put some things on recently. Okay, so Jillian_Almany.
Yeah, and we did. We dropped some player interviews from this past week. Both the comments from Leandro Soria and Marlon LeBlanc ahead of the game on Saturday, and when we were at practice on Thursday. And then we also dropped some post comments from the Union 2 match. Couple players and Marlon's talks. A lot of good information there, so make sure you check it out.
Yes.
And we also have 2 articles recapping the weekend as well.
Like I said, we've been busy, so.
So yeah, let's get into a little bit Union news. Let's start off with the first team. Union made it official. Jose had reported on it about the signing from FC Metz. Union completed the signing of Danley Jean-Jacques. He is signed through 2026 with an option for 2027. Union, because of the rights of the way MLS is set up, sent 100,000 to Portland for the rights to sign him. I mean, Jim made some comments on the signing.
He said that he thought fans were gonna like him.
Yeah, says he's a hard work rate. Anytime you hear work rate, it's kind of what the Union want. They want people, especially with the press, to work. I also like to comment, if you can play in League One, you can play. And
Yeah.
that's true. I mean, yeah, Mets got relegated, but he's played at a high level, played with the Haitian national team. So a couple other interesting notes, trial by fire, which sounds like, obviously I think they're waiting on some documents, it sounded like, from Jim's comments today.
Yeah, well, we did get to see him on Thursday when we were at training.
Yes.
Yeah, so we he wasn't really doing much yet, but yeah, we saw him. And yeah, so getting ready for him to come in the squad and get acclimated. But Jim said that he's kind of quiet as a person, but then he lets his play do the talking, basically. So that's what he was saying. Yeah.
What you want. I like this move. I mean,
Yeah,
again,
same.
especially with a lot of the midfield, under contract. You got the rumors with Jose Martinez. You got
Jack
the
McGlynn rumors.
Jack McGlynn rumors, Leon Flock's out of a contract at the end of this year.
Mhm.
Who knows what's going on with Ale?
Yeah.
Will he go on? Will he resign? Will he hang him up? Who knows? So at least this gives the Union some flexibility in the midfield moving forward, and so you gotta feel good about it. It's a good
Yeah, it
signing, in
looks like
my
a good
opinion.
move.
So we'll see how it plays out. And then from this was an interesting one while we were on our quick trip to Atlantic City. You know, uh, we saw that Eddie Davis from Union 2 was in Denmark.
Apparently is on trial with Lingby.
So yeah,
Of course, the union have a strategic investment with, so
so we asked Marlon about because we didn't know much details. In fact, a lot of people did. So I wanted to get his comments on the whole situation, and here's what Marlon had to say.
Make that comment about it. Obviously, we have a relationship with Lingby, so that's, I'm sure, from a sporting side, from both sides, been kind of set up for him to have this experience. But I think people always worry or comment that we're losing kids that's to Europe. Like, I think Jim is on the record, Ernst is on the record that we love the fact that we have kids that want to go play in Europe and play at the highest levels, and we certainly wouldn't stand in anybody's way. But also, there are opportunities for these guys to go out and enjoy these experiences and go through these experiences, because you need to do it a first time in order to find some success, right? And the first time is always the hardest for all of these guys when they go over to a new environment, new culture, you don't speak the language, all those kind of things. And so to expect one trial for them to be successful would probably be a little bit short-sighted on our part, but also for them. So these experiences are great experiences for them, and I'm absolutely happy for Eddie that he gets to go through this experience.
So yeah, I mean, Marlon hit the nail on the head.
mhm.
These are experiences that they get these opportunities to go through it. Obviously, he had a trial earlier in the year. But again, you gotta,
Mhm.
she said you gotta do it the first time,
Yeah.
and so yeah, also the fact that this is a good sell point. Regardless, and he brought it up, people are like, why are we losing people to Europe? I mean, I think that needs to be said. Are a lot of these kids gonna make the first team?
Like,
That's
yeah, honestly, I feel like Eddie's one of our and he's one of the strongest players I think on Union 2 at this
yeah.
point. He so it would be good to see him get some more challenging, more, higher level opportunity rather than getting stuck behind the guys on the first team maybe.
And that's a good point because we've heard everybody talk about the pathway. I mean,
Yeah, and it doesn't mean he wouldn't come back.
right, but at the same time, are you gonna just sign a homegrown deal and then just sit behind a kid, player, bring somebody in?
Yeah.
There are other options, and one of those options is you can go to Europe, get some experience, see what happens, and then maybe you come back, maybe you don't.
Mhm.
But it's a good viable point, and so Eddie said that. In fact, a lot of these people we've interviewed from players from Union 2 have said that their goal is to go to Europe. So
Yep.
if they have an opportunity to go over there, regardless of who it's with, I think they should definitely explore, and it's a good selling point for any future prospect.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be going from the second team to the first team and then just sitting there and not getting playing time. Now your value goes down. If you got value, go to Europe. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I'll be interested to hear how the trial went and where he goes from here. He is definitely a big part of Union 2 and a big part of their current success. He's still the second place goal scorer in MLS Next Pro at this point with 11 goals. So,
Right.
yeah.
And so, you hope the trial went well.
Mhm.
Be curious to hear what, like you said, what happens. But wish Eddie nothing but the best. And again, it's a great opportunity, great experience for him.
Absolutely. And speaking of which, we were at Union 2 practice.
Yeah,
So that was your first time going to training
for Union 2,
for Union
yes.
2.
Yeah, so this was my first time. Got to interview Marlon ahead of Chicago 2 on Saturdays.
Right.
Again, days running together.
Right.
But, just a couple things. One of the things that stood out to me really was he talked about with this team being so young, keeping the squad, and you can hear our interview on YouTube, keeping that squad hungry when they got the circles around them. And he said, as the coach keeps them up every single night, how to keep that message fresh. And that's very true as a coach. How do you keep that, especially when you have a young team that is going through prior to Saturday, a 3-game losing stretch against good teams, how you keep that confident, how you keep that together. And we kind of followed up with him a little bit on Saturday after the win. He kind of touched a little bit more on it. But then also we asked him about the 3-game losing streak, what stood out. And interestingly, he said he thought at times they've played extremely well. He said the game they lost 1-0 at home to FC Cincinnati too. He thought that was the best stretch of games they've had in some time. So it wasn't like the quality dropped off. They've had some players rotate in and out.
Yeah, that's the tough part because there are players getting called, like Vasquez, for instance, getting called to national team duty, and you have players going up to the first team. You have sometimes first team players coming down to the second team. You have U17s coming in, the academy kids. So you have all kinds of fluctuation there. And so that does impact how their training goes, how their day to day is. And sometimes they don't even know who's going to be available for the lineup for the game until sometimes even the morning of. So it's just a lot of moving parts.
It is. It is. So, and then with Leandro, just ask him a couple questions, just kind of get to know him a little bit.
Yeah.
And, talked about him getting signed to the union. Found out about it in April. And he said basically right after that, he was on plane heading to Philly. It
Yeah.
happened like bang, bang so fast. And then,
Big change for him coming from Argentina.
right where he came from. And
Mhm.
then also just the understanding of, the union system. And then, just we had asked him, being, coming off the bench a lot this year, or even making a spot start, but knowing people from the first team have come down several times and maybe knocked him back down the bench. And he just said, hey, look, it's about being positive, being ready, and just understanding that. And, just he had some really good comments. I encourage you guys to check it out. It's not a real long interview.
No, but he does talk about one of the biggest challenges was, of course, language.
Yes.
So he did speak with a staff. We had a staff member that translated. So that of course is big obstacle. Luckily for him, there are players that also speak Spanish in there. Should have asked probably if he got to know Julian much at all while he was still there.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, so we'll talk more about him when we talk about the Union 2 game because
Yeah.
he came up big. But yeah, it was really good to hear from a player we really hadn't heard from yet.
No.
So so that was good. And I'm glad you got to see Union 2 training. I didn't see very much of it because I was covering the press conference.
So let's talk about how was the press conference?
It was good. So well, I was the only one in person there.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. So I got to ask Jim a bunch of questions and asked him about, of course, injuries, which at that point were it's not too many, but few had knocks. And then I asked about David Vasquez. He of course was returning from the CONCACAF U20 championships, and Jim had a lot of good things to say about him. And honestly, he's one that I would love to see get an opportunity because, yeah, granted, he's really young yet,
Right.
but he's got some skills. I mean, we saw that in the CONCACAF. We've seen it, just in the Union 2 games. And obviously that's not the same as playing with the first team, but I mean, yeah, if the right opportunity comes up, I'd love to see him get his debut for sure. And I was saying today, I'd actually rather see him come in and get a chance over Cavan at this point. I mean, Cavan's got some great skills, not knocking him, but I don't know, I kind of want to see what David could do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was a good press conference, and you and I went out, watched practice.
Yeah.
Just kind of hung out, talked with Dave Lennon for a little bit.
Yeah,
and
shout out Dave.
yeah, it was, just a good time. Just being there, just watching some things, watching they were spending a lot of time on they were doing a lot on set stuff. It was just interesting watching some of the players.
Yeah, it really was. And I've been to a bunch of trainings at this point. That's one thing that's been really great about this summer now that I actually had more time on my hands to actually be able to make it to some trainings and see
Mhm.
what they do, because I can't do that during the school year. So that's been great. And I also appreciate the PR staff for being so accommodating and um giving these opportunities to us.
Yeah, it was great. And so, let's transition now into Friday's match. We went down.
Yes.
Weather held up, actually. We were all concerned about the rain.
Yeah, because it was going crazy earlier in the day.
It was. And so we thought it was going to be a rain out. Was there'd be storms, flooding. But then it kind of broke and the
Yeah.
storm kind of moved off.
It was
And
a little humid, but it wasn't raining, and so we lucked out.
we did. But, it was a sparse crowd.
That's the understatement.
That is
Yes.
the
I
understatement.
think that's the least attended game I've been to yet.
I mean, if anybody was there, leave a comment. How bad was that? Has anybody?
Well, yeah, if you want to show the people, I have some pictures.
Yeah, so we have some
I
pictures
have some
here.
pictures of how full the stadium looks.
So we're gonna go through this here real quick.
That being said, I had a ton of fun. So I was reporting from 136. And well, here's okay. So we get there and yeah, Union Yards was pretty empty. There were some people inside and no one was outside because it was all wet.
Yeah, there was
So
hardly anybody outside. The
yeah.
parking lot had a couple things, but
This was a sharp contrast from the Cruiserville game.
yeah,
And upon entering, we were given a yellow card, red card kind of giveaway
fun.
there. So yeah, and so we definitely use those in the stands at times. Yes. Yeah, so there's you and me. All right. So that's just during warm-ups. There's like hardly anyone in there, obviously, but there's warm-ups. And so shout out to Beth there that's standing, one of our people that we've gotten to know. That's just Andre taking warm-ups. Kind of some videos. There's the view from up above.
That's me from up above as they were kind of getting ready, and yeah,
Yelp 34 yards out.
Yep.
And honestly, okay, so here's now to give you some perspective, here's when the teams are walking out. Now, of course, even on a normal game, not everyone's made to their seats at this point yet, but usually there's way more. But if you're watching this, you can see just how empty it is as the team is coming to the field.
I remember I forget who it was, just turning to somebody and going, "Do you think there's 8,000 people here?"
At this point, it looks like a Union 2 crowd.
It really does, just spread out throughout
Yeah.
the stadium.
Yeah, which is a shame. But okay, so you can see here's 136. Here's friends from 136. I'm going to shout them out. Eric and Jane, they're next to us. There's Janelle and Brandon, and up there is Jason and his son, and there's Jay. So shout out to our 136 friends because they're the best, and we had so much fun, and we had some great chants going on.
Yeah, so let's talk about that because I'll be honest with you, from the press box, while I've heard it louder,
Mhm.
you guys did a very good job considering, and even Jim said, hey, we didn't have a lot of fans there tonight, and
Yeah.
we had to kind of create our own energy, but the fans that were there brought it.
Yeah.
So shout out to everybody that was there trying to keep the energy. And there was times even the whole stadium was trying to get into it.
Yeah,
to
really.
create.
Yeah, and I think part of it is maybe because it was a smaller crowd, you could hear more. I think some of the people that are in surrounding sections could hear maybe what the chants were more. So there's actually a kickoff. So that, as you can see, it's 37 seconds in or whatever. So yeah, that's what the stadium looked like when it started. And there's another view of it after, when the game was beginning. So as you can see, sparsely. Yeah, and then I did get some videos of some of the chants going on as well. So just so you could hear what they were like.
We like it, we like it, we love it! Oh, we like it, I just can't get enough. All those things you do me and all those things you say, I just can't.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So I mean, and I just had some random shots. You could see the crowd, but I think I have a good one of maybe when Leon went down, there should have been a PK, but anyway, you can probably skip that one. Oh, that one was, I think, is that the Bizo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Oh,
oh, um, yeah. Yeah, because Andre's even up there trying to like help with the situation. So
yeah.
yeah, so I mean, I have a bunch of random stuff on here for us to look at, but
Yeah.
yeah, just some views of what it was looking like, and then of course one of them's Ty got to bang the jump, and then I have a if you go to that one,
All right, we'll share this real quick.
yeah, just thought it'd be fun to show that. That yeah, it's watch. They did at the end of the game put the screen on the big screen. They showed the Cincinnati game, see who when they were on their PKs to see who we were going to play against next. So anyway, so that was kind of cool that they put that on, so everyone was watching.
Yeah, we were
that.
kind of hanging out in the concourse, like right where like the photographers walk down,
Yeah.
like they have access to the field. We were kind of standing there watching that.
Yeah, so that's some of my views from being in the stands. And like I said, for what it was, I think the crowd did a pretty good job of doing chants. And one thing I want to say is they're so they actually didn't keep the chants going for too long. Because sometimes that's one criticism I have. Sometimes the chants go on for way too long, and then
Right.
eventually people are just like, just kind of not into it anymore. So I think that was good. We had some organic kind of chants going on. There was some kind of chant about sausage roll at some point. Yeah, like just, and then there were some more colorful ones that we can't say. And so, yeah, it was a good time.
But overall, it sounds like exactly, even though there wasn't a ton of people, you guys had a good time.
Yeah.
And did 136 bring it?
136 brought it.
Good. Actually, from my vantage point, 136 is probably the most packed section in the river end. So shout out to you guys for doing that.
Now you know why, you guys, I like to go in the stands a lot still. I do not always go in the press box.
So from our vantage point, like I said, it was sparse. There were times it was really, really quiet, but I felt like, you could hear the chanting going on throughout the game. But yeah, at times it felt like a Union 2 game as well.
Yes. But I love the Union 2 games because
You
they're a
could
little
even
more
hear
laid back.
like the players and the goalkeepers shouting instructions.
You could really hear Andre shouting
Yes.
stuff, which, I mean, again, we've talked about this. Having him back, what a difference, because he is directing the other players so much, and it just makes a huge, huge difference. But you could actually hear him a lot more. So there was that.
I mean, let's talk a little bit about the game. We won't
Yes,
spend too
right.
much time on it. But I mean, overall, for a team that coming into this game has played Montreal twice, so
First was a draw, and then the second was a
second one-
loss, which we were at.
yeah, so I mean, overall, I thought personally, first half Montreal was just letting the Union have control of the ball.
Which the Union don't like to do.
No, and and then the second half, Montreal decided they like to play with the ball, so they were gonna
Mhm.
take over, try to create something down goal. And for the most part, I thought the Union's back line and did a good job, especially when they were starting to take risks in Montreal. Now, having said that, the defense wasn't perfect. I mean, there's that ball early on where guy over top of Glesnes, Bryce Duke had a one-on-one.
Right.
Andre saves it, keeps the game scoreless. I mean, Andre lets that in. We're having a whole different conversation.
Well, that, and we had Zemla for the first game, and then it was Rick for the second one. Neither of those guys are making that save that Andre made.
No, there was a couple saves throughout the night and it goes back to, yes, they have 3 clean sheets in 5 games, but again, defensive laps are still there. The difference is Andre, and I know shout out to our buddy Todd Lewis was talking about this today. Andre covers up some of those mistakes. And
He does.
so I think while the defense plays a lot more confident with Andre, the mistakes are still there to some degree. And, again, it just is going to go back to how much can the Union defensively limit those 1v1 or breakdowns for the success, not only the Leagues Cup, but the season.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to say is that was a very good game for Jacob Glessness. I thought overall, minus that one lapse where Bryce Duke got through, I thought it was a very strong showing for Jacob Glessness. It was more of like what we expect from him.
Like I
You know,
said,
Jack Elliott was fine. Kai, as always, Kai is honestly, and I know Todd Lewis was saying that Kai is his top Union player of all time. And I tend to be in the camp of, I think Andre Blake might be my top, but I think Kai is right there as well. The thing about Kai is he's not out there scoring all kinds of goals and getting that
he's
notoriety,
consistent.
but he's so consistently strong. Like, I think this season he's been their best player. He's been
He's
the
been
best
their
player
most
for the Union.
consistent. I would say throughout all these games, he's been their top most consistent player.
Kai is am besten. So cheers, Kai.
So yeah, I mean, there was that, and I just again I thought they did a very good defensive job, especially towards the second half when they were starting to clamp down.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah,
and
Nate Harriel back in.
yeah, and he did
He
fine.
did fine, and then
He
Bizo came in. You know,
also did good. I mean, he's got a good 4-game run. He got cooked that one time, and
we did get cooked one time.
but to his credit, when he got cooked, the defense backed him up. So
And then, of course, there was the whole
red card.
yeah, so Bizo fouls the player from Montreal, and initially the ref gives him a straight red. And of course everyone's like, "What?" And yeah, so I don't know if you had that clip on there, but did you have that? No.
I didn't.
Well, it's in the article that Kyle put out today. But anyway, everyone's just in disbelief. And finally, the ref does go to VAR, and VAR rightfully overturns it, and it's downgraded to a yellow. So, yeah, because definitely it was not a red from everything that we saw.
It just like, even from my vantage point, it looked like, is that a red? Like, just he went way too quick to the red card. Now, looking at some of the images and kind of breaking it down slow mo, seeing on the screen, it's a foul. It's a yellow. He had spikes, but it's not red worthy. And I
No.
think that's what everybody was kind of saying. Like, it's okay. We're not gonna argue if it's yellow, but it's definitely not red.
Yeah, actually, for the most part, the ref was just letting the teams play. He
Yeah.
wasn't calling much, except there was that stupid yellow on Kai, I guess.
Yeah,
But I
that
guess
one
Kai
did.
was running his mouth or something. But there was that. And well, let's talk about the goals, because
Yeah.
Ty
I-
Baribo,
I
what a
mean,
guy.
Union had a couple other opportunities. They were creating chances all night, but
Yeah.
it's the whole story of you got to finish. But at the same time, what we saw was Sam Dinner makes a nice shot.
Really a hard shot.
Yeah, which to his credit
Deflected from the
deflected
goalie.
right off. And Ty just runs right into it,
Yeah.
which I remember one of the things I used to joke with when we signed him. I was watching some highlights. Now, highlights are highlights, as we always say. But the guy in Austria was like a freaking bull in the china shop. That's how he got a lot of his goals, just
Yeah.
running on to the balls like that. And that was a really impressive goal, just to see him
Yeah.
get in there, just knock that ball and be where he's supposed to be. And
Yeah.
for once, you didn't have a chance, and there's somebody in the box, and good things will happen. And
Yeah.
then the second goal, I mean, credit to Rafa to find a beautiful pass to Jack McGlynn.
Yes.
Jack runs onto it.
And what a ball from
and
Jack.
then 2-on-1 finds Ty, and Ty just hits in the back of the net again. Striker strike. An interesting pass. And I was listening to Mike and Jose before that, just the angle of that shot
Yeah.
from Ty on that goal, I
It was
think
class.
was class, because that's a difficult shot to make. So I remember, I think I said that to Todd too. I'm like, man, that was a very nice ball into Ty, but just the angle was a little difficult. But still, that's the kind of goal. I think that's one of my favorite goals of this year, in terms of just the beauty of that whole build up there,
Right.
creating that. And that's what you want to see. So yeah, you can say maybe they had 2 stoppage time goals, but at the end of the day, 2-0 win. You feel confident, and
Yeah.
again, it's outside of that Cruz Azul game, which Cruz Azul is on fire right now, they're probably playing like the top team in Mexico. Union have looked like the better team, I would say, most of the time. And, again, this is where you're kind of going, hey,
Yeah.
you can compete with teams. Now,
Yeah.
we'll see what moves forward.
Yeah, Cincinnati's going to be a big test.
Yes. But the last thing was, and Jim touched on it today, we had a couple injuries,
Right.
Danny went out after taking a knee to the spine.
Yeah.
And then Harriel went out with an injury, and that's when Bizu came in.
Yeah, he had some cramping.
Yeah, so
the good news is on Jim's presser today, I asked him about the injuries, and he said basically they've got a full squad. Danny and Nate, they train fully and they'll be available. And, they picked up some bumps and bruises, but they should be good to go. I saw Marcus Anderson was in their training pictures today,
Yeah.
so looks like he's back from concussion probably. So that's good. I don't know if we'll be seeing him on there. And honestly, man,
after that last game,
the last game against
no.
Cincinnati. No
Did
offense.
you?
I mean, I'd like to see him get some chances in Union 2 at least again or something. But anyway, thankfully, because it was really worrisome what happened to Gazdag though, because the way he got hit, and Jim said that he must have hit a nerve or something because he lost some sensation in his legs after that. Like that's scary stuff.
That
Like
is
that's
scary.
final stuff. That is scary. So thank goodness Danny is okay. Jim actually used all the subs.
He did.
He had a triple sub the first sub
Yeah, I mean,
that he did. So
I thought overall, put a bow on this. It was a good, solid performance against the team. Again, Union should have beaten early in the season, gotten maybe at least 4 points, and they got only one. So it's good to do that they were able to take care of them. And this time, actually, like for the most part, Montreal had all their studs back. Well, their top players back, and they have full contingency. So
yeah.
Union did a good job at home taking care of business. So the next day, went with our friend Todd Lewis. Went up in the press box to cover the Chicago Fire 2 Union 2 game. Both teams were battling it out for kind of control second, third place in MLS Next Pro. It was going to be a good one, but because it's Leafs Cup and it was Saturday, they had a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah. So first of all, it was a gorgeous day.
Yeah.
And there was so of course Bridge Brigade, they really promoted this to be, a Sons of Ben day to really encourage Sons of Ben members to come check out the Union 2 game. And they had a tailgate and they marched in and it was a lot of fun. And I mean, it being a Saturday and everything, no excuse for people not to show up, and the tickets are so cheap. So here's outside tailgate lot, and Kyle the baby was doing some trumpet playing there. So
yeah, this was fire.
Right there.
Yeah, and then so they marched in, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, again, it's not going to be a huge group like you get for the regular Union games, but
no, but it was cool to see them doing that, marching in, having fun. I mean, I haven't seen that in a while.
yeah.
Here's another.
Yeah, so
Somebody had kazoo.
yeah, so it was nice to have the march in, and then it was pretty good sized crowd for a Union 2 game.
Obviously, everybody's in front of us, so we can't see. But just this picture here, this is a beautiful day.
It was, and I do have some pictures of the crowd in there actually too, if you want to
So-
see it. But yeah, that's just them warming up a bit. But a nice day, and then
Here's them coming out.
yes, and you'll be able to see the Bridge Brigade and
Yeah, nice crowd there. Bridge Brigade.
yeah, there's an up close one of a bunch of people that are from Sons of Ben and Bridge Brigade.
Jeff Mitchell's
Some
there.
people were there for the first time. There's a starting lineup for both teams.
Yeah. It still surprised me how tall Neil Pierre is.
Neil Pierre is very tall. It's very tall center backs on the team. Of course, Makania's he was injured, so he wasn't playing.
And yeah, boat. There's
Yes,
a couple boats.
We saw a few boats.
We saw a tiny boat.
We saw a tiny boat. Yeah.
This
Yes.
is a
I love
fishing
how
boat.
the Canadian flag is still up from the night before.
Yeah, right.
Okay. And I just I just threw in a couple random plays. You know, here's Cabin with the ball, and then he
Yeah.
passes it. Yeah, so yeah, that was just one of their chances there.
Yeah.
But you know,
It's the Orange.
no, I don't have either of Leandro's goals in video. I have David's though in there somewhere, but just a few to show some of the ball skills and some of
Yeah.
the chances that they had. You know, Cavan, he started the game. He has, of course, really nice ball skills. He is good at finding space and his awareness of where to go.
Mhm.
I think yeah, do the you can I mean you don't have to probably
Yeah.
use any of this, but do the one that's that one.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, I did have some celebrations for after Leandro scored, but
Yeah.
so but here's the third goal. This one is from David Vasquez.
I really like this goal. Kind of hooks the guy right here.
Yeah,
Turns it in, smashes it.
bangs it in. Yeah, it was this pass from Diego Rocio, and
Really nice ball.
yes, and and then here's a celebration of note. I guess you clicked out that a little early, but um, Frankie got a yellow card for yeah, showing his undershirt that said Jesus saves, which
you know,
it's a dumb
he-
roll, but
which that company, what was it?
611.
611 posted that. I mean, you feel for him.
Yeah, because I looked down, I saw they got
Yeah, that was weird.
dumb.
But I mean, overall thoughts of the game. This was a game that the Union struggled because I felt every time we were looking up that I mean, I think Todd said this, you know, they played very direct, and they did. It seemed like every time they were getting the ball out wide and just running down and just really outspeeding the Union's defense, getting plays. And credit to Mike Sheridan, you know, career high saves, you know.
7 saves, yeah.
So, and also one of probably he's been very solid these last couple games, even in losses. You know, you saw
Yeah.
some of the nice shot blocking on some 1v1s. He's been very impressive, you know.
He has.
College kid, played for Westchester United. So he's had some amateur experience, some college experience.
Yeah.
But again, you know, it's good to see him making these things. And I'd asked Marlon, I forget what game that was, where I said, you know, about him, and Marlon sung his praises. And so, yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, and to recap some of the earlier things, of course, the Union 2 looked not great the first half. And Marlon had said some of the guys are training with the first team, then guys are in and out for various reasons. So sometimes it takes them a bit to kind of gel
Yeah.
and to get on the same page. But they you know, they did give up a goal first and that was the one where the Chicago 2 player, he like kind of went right around Sheridan and knocked it in. But
Yeah.
the Union 2 did answer then. And Leandro Soria, he got the ball past the keeper there. It was kind of a it was kind of a little scrum there at the
Yeah.
goal for a second. He knocked it in. And one thing I want to talk about is sadly Kyle Tucker, who's captain of Union 2, he wasn't there because his father had sadly passed
Right.
earlier in the week, Roger Tucker. And so the captain's armbands had RT on it. And
Which I felt was a great touch. And
Yeah.
shout out to Kyle Tucker and his family during this time. You know, can't imagine it. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's just sad. So, you know, we're all supporting you. The fans are supporting you. Just know that, Kyle. So,
Yeah. So when they did their pre-match team photo with the starting lineup, they held up Kyle's jersey, and
which I
then
thought was a really awesome touch.
yeah, and then when Leandro scored his first goal, he grabbed Kyle Tucker's jersey and held that up. And I know Union 2 on social media, they posted a nice little clip of that. So I thought that was really nice. And then yeah, in the second half, Soria puts us Cavan takes the ball down, does some tricky little dribbles,
and
and
just nice little lob pass that
Mhm.
sort of just ran right on.
yeah, headed it right in. Great goal there.
And then, you know, that's the thing about Kevin. Yeah, he's 14. We've now watched him a couple times. Again, I'll say, his understanding of where he wants to go. I know Todd talked about his dribbling. His dribbling's great. You see the potential there.
Yeah. So and then so they're 2-1. Then we have the Vasquez goal.
And then they gave up a really weird goal.
Yeah, it was right after. Marlon was so ticked about it.
Oh, he was scared.
Just look at our post-game interview with him. And I know I asked Marlon, first question was about what was like the halftime message with, because they came out looking way more cohesive and compact and everything. And Marlon, he was just like,
I might have said a few choice words.
yeah, he's he might have said a few
Well,
few bad words basically.
Yeah, what did he say? First thing was like, I think I need to cool down a little bit.
Yeah, he's like,
yeah, you could tell Marlon just got.
But the thing is, he cares. Like he wants the best out of these players. So yeah, he's like, I couldn't care less about the result. I mean, he's like, we won, but I'm mad, and he didn't like the way that goal was given up. He's striving for the best for these players. He's all about the development, and I respect that because like being coaches ourselves, we get that. And so yeah, they won, but also they gave up a dumb goal that they need to learn from. So that's so so I thought that was interesting. Again, we have the full clips on our most recent article. I have a whole article about Union 2 that I put out. So check that out.
And we also interviewed David Vasquez. We all interviewed CJ Olney. And we all interviewed Mike Sheridan. And just a lot of great clips there that we had.
Yeah, and so on the most recent episode of The Dupe, Sage Hurley had Andre Blake on and talked about his piano skills and everything. And of course, we had learned from Sal Olivas that CJ only is good at piano. And then we asked CJ about that too. So yeah, I think
I have the clip up right here. Let's get that fired up here. All right.
Piano. So
Secret Sal.
Secret Sal. Who were your influences growing up, and how'd you get into playing the piano?
So my old roommate who used to play here, he was like bought into it. He was like, I'm gonna take lessons, I'm gonna do this and that, and I was like, no, you're not. So we had a keyboard lying in our house. He never touched it, and we were like, I would come home in the summer from like training and stuff. I'd be kind of bored. I mean, there wasn't much to do, so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna I liked songs that had piano in it, so I was like, I'm just gonna try and teach to myself. So I found a song that I like. It's called "Empty" by Juice WRLD, and I really like the piano in that song. So I just kind of taught it to myself using Google and stuff, and then I just go song by song trying to learn it myself.
Yeah, I think the people went dueling pianos with Andre and you.
Yeah. I already talked to him about that. When he saw the video, he came up to me and asked if I played and how well I knew it. So we'll see. Maybe it'll happen.
That would be epic.
So yeah, that would be epic.
yeah. I probably lit up about that too.
Yeah, I mean,
we all want to see it. So DJ Andre dueling pianos needs to happen.
And of course, we asked. I know Todd had asked about being homegrown,
right? And he was just beaming with pride on that.
Same with David. David, we're talking about the CONCACAF. I mean, just some really good. Mike Sheridan about being leader with Andrew Rick. Filling in for Andrew Rick at times. So just that, and is what it means, what he's learned of being a leader, when he's trained primarily with Union 2. Just some really good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely check out the full interviews if you haven't yet, and we'll continue to get that coverage.
Yeah, Union only 2 points now out of the top spot again, the East. Both St. Louis and Cincinnati are tied for the top overall in MLS Next Pro. So hey, Union's got some games left, see where they shake out. But speaking of FC Cincinnati, that's who you play again tomorrow night.
Or when you're listening to us, it'll be today.
Frenemies. Pat Newton, Chris Albright, Jim Curtin, everybody getting together again.
Do you call it a rivalry?
It's a rivalry.
It's more of a rivalry than New York Red Bulls or
what I would consider this rivalry is like the swimming rivalry with Millersville and ESU. Why? Because you swam there, and the relationships we had, and that was a rivalry where both teams did not like each other, but also, just because of the connections. It's a
The
thing
connections,
where
yeah.
you're gonna say great things and be buddy buddy when you're not playing each other, but man, when you get to play each other, you are.
Yeah. So, uh, and Jim was asked about Cincinnati, of course, leading up to it. And thing is, Union, they lost 4-3. There was some dumb mistakes at the end. They also had that was a game where Zemla got chipped and
Yep.
it was pretty horribly. And it was just very end to end. And Jim said they can't be playing like that. They can't be playing that end to end.
No.
No. And so the good news is Andre Blake is back. They have, well, basically their full squad. This is probably, and the game against Montreal was the same. This is like the most healthy and full their squad has been in a while, I think. So that's big. See what happens. Acosta's back. Acosta's in there. So they're gonna have a real challenge. I'm gonna be interested to see what kind of crowd Cincy has.
I mean, I'm sure for that game they're gonna have a good crowd.
Yeah, so we'll see.
But Tuesday night, you never know. Funny thing, prior to taking over, Union played 3 games in Cincinnati. Union did not lose a single game. Since Pat Noonan's taken over, fun fact, Union have lost all 4 games in TQL Stadium.
And so I think it's time for change,
I mean, at the end of the day, it's gonna be a lot of their games have been 1-goal games. I think there's only been one game where it was like 3-1. That was a couple years ago. But I mean, at the end of the day, this is going to be a good matchup. Now, of course, blunder of the week goes to Aaron Repenza, who MLS basically canceled his contract.
Yeah, not just Cincy. No, MLS.
Yes.
Like
yeah. So I mean, yeah, you could say he's had some good goals for them. He's been a thorn, but at the same time, they're still a dangerous team. They got so much talent on that team. Having said that, you never know what's going to happen. Hey, Union find stride play, and this is one of those games they've had now. What 5 really good games? All right, you had a good game against Cruz Azul, where if you play like that all the time, you can go head to head with pretty much anybody in MLS.
yeah, that's a very
Pretty
strong
much.
opponent.
So let's see how now they play on the road against a very strong opponent in FC Cincinnati, because they're going to see him again. Now that'll be at Subaru Park at the end of the year, but this could be a good stepping stone.
Big test.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. My prediction at the beginning of the year was round 16. Union faced it, so anything they move on, obviously you'd love to see them move on, but it'd be icing on the cake. And let's just see how the defense continues to limit the mistakes and get the front line going.
Yeah, and I for one am hoping for a regulation victory from the Union because I cannot stand the tension of when they go to PKs. And Andre is great and all, but I feel like, PKs haven't been great. And I know Celentano's pretty good. But
Defense is great.
so we'll see. But we'll see if Ty Baribo can keep up the goal scoring that he's been doing. He's just been on a tear since he's gotten the opportunities, and Sam's been a good addition. Mikel, and he's been connecting. So we'll see.
Mikel needs to. I mean, Jim talked about it with Mikel,
Yeah.
but hey, there's still plenty of time left. And Mikel does so much without the ball, but like Jim said, he needs to get on the ball and he needs to get more touches, and I agree with that. So
Yeah.
we've talked about that. The more touches Mikel has, the better the team goes. So we'll see. One last note, just a programming note, the Union Town Hall discussion that was scheduled for Tuesday, tomorrow, has been bumped to Wednesday.
Yes, because of the game. So it is now on Wednesday. We will be there.
Well, you would definitely be there. It depends on a meeting I have, but we will definitely be there covering it. What are your thoughts on the town hall? Is it really a town hall?
It's pre-screened questions.
It's not a town hall.
That's not really a town hall, and it's been interesting because it's at Union Yards. I mean, they could have gone bigger scale, I guess, and done in the stadium or something, but I think they're just trying to really limit it. So I don't know.
Which makes no sense. Why are you trying to limit town hall?
Yeah, so
We've seen some of the questions. They are definitely good. I mean, I think for some people, they're going to gripe no matter what. I think for other people, it might be a form of clarity.
Yeah.
So definitely not sure I would have it the day after game though, especially if Ruby, what do you think of it? Nah, oh, but just day after a game, and let's say the Union, knock on wood, don't get a win. That's gonna be a little more feistiness.
Yeah, that's true. Like,
I was talking to Skyler. Skyler was walking out. He's like, "Man, they should have this thing on Monday."
yeah.
But I get it with travel and all that. It's gonna be hard.
Well, with things that we had going on, it actually worked out better for it to be Wednesday for us, but
So yeah, so let us know your thoughts. Let us know if you're gonna be at the town hall. Let us know what you thought of the weekend overall. Obviously, again, very positive weekend. Both teams kind of gaining momentum again. So again, we thank you for tuning in, and this is all for this episode of One Team We Agree On.
yeah, make sure to subscribe and like our various social medias and things that we put up. We appreciate the comments and the conversations. So definitely leave us comments. We love hearing from you. And yeah, say hi to us if you see us around.
Yep, and until next time, I'm Kyle,
I'm Jillian, and this is Ruby.
and we'll see you at the game.